If you're a complete noob at the Necrogiant, or you just need a refresher from the old pro days, this is going to be the ultimate Necrogiant raid guide for you. I'm going to go down all of the 4 different abilities and give you all of that info before we show an in-game example. So let's dive into today's guide. Hello everyone, yes, smash like, comment and subscribe for more daily videos with me, MrSneakyy, the one and only, and we're going over this Necrogiant today. So I'm going to give you guys the basic info first, and then we're going to break down the abilities, and then showcase some in-game examples with, obviously, the last bit of info we might have missed. So, first things first, how you defeat the Necrogiant. The Necrogiant raid has the Necrogiant as well as the Giant inside. So there's going to be 2 Behemoths inside to deal with. The main strategy for this is to fight the Necrogiant while another tank is basically taunting the main Giant away. You're going to make sense why in a moment. The Necrogiant is immune to all magic damage, meaning all of your physical damage dealers will need to deal damage to it, while your Giant is immune to all of physical damage, meaning all magic damage is going to be the ones that's dealing the damage to the normal Giant. So just remember that. If you're an archer, always hit the Necro. If you're a mage, always hit the Giant. It's the main 2 basic premises you need. Now, let's go into these abilities because you're going to need to understand this, because when you're in the Necrogiant raid, he has the ability to summon one of 4 different tools in its kit, and that's kind of the premise of the whole Necrogiant raid. It's going to be a random roulette wheel to see what you might get. There could be 2 in a row. You can have a complete mixture of different types of abilities. It could be anything when you go in. So you do need to understand what each one of these do. The first one is going to be the Wall of Malevolence. The Wall of Malevolence basically summons these massive rows of teleportations either on the left or the right side, and what will happen is it's almost basically a bulldog charge where some arrows or missiles will fire from left to right or right to left in the video game example, and you have to go into the gap to obviously dodge this ability. The next one that you have to deal with is the Barrier of Wuthering Waves. This is a nice, easy one to deal with. It summons a massive X in the whole arena, and it will rotate either clockwise or counterclockwise. So whichever direction it rotates, make sure you move in the same direction, because if you're too slow, you're going to get zapped by, obviously, the little lines that's dividing the quadrants of this move. The third one is a bit more of a nuisance one. It is the Haunting of Ill Intent. It's going to summon 4 different portals in the same locations every time, which are in different corners of the map, and it's basically going to summon a giant ball, and not just one ball, a ton of these balls. And the way these work is like your classic DVD ROM screensaver, right? Where it just kind of bounces around and it will go in one direction and it'll bounce off a wall and go into another direction. So it's all your job to do is make sure you're not in the hot zone and dodge all of the balls, boys. Then the final ability that you need to deal with is gonna be Darkfire. Darkfire is arguably one of the worst ones to deal with because this will summon the entire floor is lava. And when that is happening, 2 different units at random will get this AoE around them, which is the safe zone. So it's down to you and your alliance members to go into the safe zone and make sure you're not obviously in the fire. This one is one of the hardest ones to do. However, if you get really good at it, you will see this is the perfect zone to actually heal up in phases, which will be part of the strategy later on in the gameplay. Now, we've gone through all 4 different abilities, and like I said, those are gonna spawn possibly during any of your Necrogiant attempts. It could be random. You could get 2 in a row, you could just get 1 of each. Who knows? However, there is some other things you need to know about this Necrogiant raid. one important factor is with the Necrogiant and the Giant, they can't be close together. If they are close together, Dark Benediction is going to trigger, which is this little leash that will allow both of them to significantly reduce the amount of damage dealt. And in the elite raids, this will even heal them if you don't do it right. So this is actually one of the hardest punishing parts of the raid. So make sure both of these boys are separated. With all of that, there is obviously some other parts you need to know. The Giant and the Necrogiant HPs are shared. So even if you're dealing some good damage to that Giant, it's going to deal obviously the same amount of damage to the Necro basically. Both have the exact same pool. So if you deal damage on this side, it's going to go down on that side too. Just to explain what that means. Now, with all of this, obviously, there's going to be one little trick that a lot of players misinterpret. During all of these different phases that we've kind of explained, which is these 4 different abilities in the game, what will happen is the Necrogiant and the Giant go completely invulnerable. So you just cannot deal any damage to them. So what you want to do is pretty simple, guys. Make sure you're dodging the actual ability, but when that actual ability finishes, the Necrogiant and the Giant will switch places. So if you are trying to make sure you're always hitting the Necrogiant, always rotate or always make sure when you move at the end of that ability, you are where the Giant is, because the Giant is going to swap places with the Necro. And this will make a lot more sense in the gameplay side of things. So, with all of that, we've pretty much gone through all that we need to know. The last part is to do with like disruptive necrocurrents. This is just affecting Legion march speed when you are going through the raid. If you hit the 3rd and 4th cycle, you'll notice these winds which slow you down. But the major one that you do need to know is the 10-minute marker. As soon as it hits 10 minutes, guys, and you've not finished this raid, the Necrogiant will do a complete just a lair wipe. Anyone in the lair is just going to get one shot. It doesn't matter what you try. And even if you froze on ring it and then come out, it's just going to kill you again anyway. So that is all you need to know from all the basic stuff. Let's just jump into the elite raid info, and then let's break down a actual elite raid kill example. So when it comes to the elite raid of the Necrogiant, you need to make sure you are trying to complete this within 8 minutes, and that's going to give you the elite raid frame for your alliance. Obviously, you need to be the first alliance on the server, obviously in that season, in order to get that. Just remember, but when it comes to our main abilities, just remember these are all upgraded when you can see the difference between the normal and the elite ones. But when it comes to the different types of debuffs, obviously we don't own it here, the different 4 buffs that you have to deal with is going to be triple threat 1, like always, increase the HP attack and defense by 25%. Then it's going to be healing hex. Enemy legions receive 50% less healing, so any of those healing mana stones are going to do 50% less. Bloodbath is increasing all damage dealt, and this is increases to 0.5 HP percent loss. So basically, the more HP over time the Necrogiant loses, the more damage this monster or this behemoth is going to deal to everyone. Then on top of this, you have Dark Riposte. When enemy legions launch a normal attack against the Necrogiant while it's in that invulnerable state during any of its abilities, they will take magic skill damage of 500 every second for each attack that they are dealing to the Necrogiant. So just remember that when it comes to the elite raid, those are the things that you need to know. As well, when it comes into your seasons, depending on what season you're going to be in, you could have the sustaining shadows. This is while Dark Benediction is active. So if the Giant and the Necrogiant are too close and the chain link is active, while they're reducing all the damage they take, they are also now going to be healing 1% of their maximum health every second. This is crazy, guys, because if you just let this go for 5 seconds, 5% of a heal is honestly a run killer. It's just a run killer. So you need to make sure you always have these guys separated. So with that, let's go into the gameplay example and break down an elite raid of the Necrogiant from start to finish and how to kill it. And welcome to the gameplay side of things. So if you've listened and understood what you need to look out for, so the 4 different abilities as well as the general mechanics, this section is going to be a lot easier to understand, right? So as you can see straight away when it comes to the whole setup, if you're wondering how to set up for this Necrogiant raid, you want to try and get your strongest, and I mean your strongest DPS damage dealers at the very top. So you can see in the scenario for FS, this was going to be Gamble at the time. He normally deals the most amount of damage with his archer build, and all the other archers down here on the bottom side. You can see also on the right side there's a bunch of different mages just to take aggro and to keep control of the giant, because that's going to be their job, to deal damage to the giant, to make sure this thing is always away from the necro. So now we've got that kind of under premise, we can start letting this actually fly. So we're going to watch Wildtonzo now go into taunting the Necrogiant. So she's got all of the aggro, and you can see all the damage now getting slain out onto the Necrogiant. And this is normally easy, right? You're just dealing some damage until the very, very first phase does occur. So here you want to try and use all of your artifact damage. Make sure you get these out, because obviously the quicker you can get these off, the more damage output you have per second. But now we're hitting the 30-second mark, and this is where you can see the first ability is going to come. So now we have Wall of Malevolence, and I'm going to give you guys a tip and trick here, because this could get patched in the future. So obviously if it does and you die, I do apologize, but you can see just here where a lot of players are on this very bottom line is a safe zone. It is actually safe to stay on this bottom line. You'll notice a lot of players stay on the bottom, and even when you see some of these missiles coming towards them, look, they take 0 damage because they're actually below the missile's hitbox, so you will dodge it. However, if this gets patched, all you got to do, as you can see the main murder ball doing a really good showcase of an example, is make sure you get into the gaps, right? Make sure you get into the gaps. So march speed here is very, very important, because if you're too slow, you can imagine you're going to take a bunch of damage. Now, that has all completed. That's one phase completed. But did you notice what happened there towards the end? If we zoom back, we'll notice the giant. The giant's at the top right corner, right? And you can see in 10 seconds time, the giant and the necro are about to swap places. So this murder ball is in a perfect position to instantly hit the necro giant. So in now, boom, you see the necro giant's there, and now not the giant. So you can continue doing the amount of DPS that you need. So that just showcases the dark switch mechanic for all of you guys. So now all it's down to is DPSing down the Necrogiant again and awaiting the next mechanic that you have to deal with. One really good tip and trick that I will tell you guys is, if you get any of the healing stones, try to not use them until you get the Dark Fire stage, and you're going to see why. Because this is one stage or one ability that basically will force all the players, as you kind of see now, together. So everyone is forced together in this mode, meaning getting 10 players to get that stone is very, very easy. Especially you can see the main murder ball here moving to where the giant is here. They've still got over 15 seconds left. They're gonna get this healing stone with over 10 seconds to spare. Everyone's going to get the healing, which is really, really good. So that maximum health. And now the mages can move away, get towards, obviously, the giant, and keep these two away. Because as of now, if you look, they are not close enough, and they're making sure that Dark Benediction doesn't get triggered, right? So now the Necrogiant in this little position getting DPS'd by the physical, while on the other side is the giant getting DPS'd by the magical. So we've already gone through 2 different phases there, right? We've gone through Dark Fire and Malevolence. So let's see if we get a third ability here, or we're going to get a different, or the same one. But in this scenario, we get a different ability. We get the third one. This is going to be the Ill Intent ability, right? So this is the 4 different balls. And to do this, you can do a couple of strategies. If we pause the video, you can see at the very top there where Roxu and Weak are and VPP, they're doing a strategy where you kind of stay in this top section and you move left to right, left to right. So a really good way of dodging quite a lot of the balls, right? Because it makes your life easier needing to move only left or right. Or you can do what the middle guys are doing, where if you can dodge a lot of the initial, you know, balls, when you get into the center, you'll notice it does tend to clear up, right? So when they get into the center, you'll notice they start to clear up, even though they're taking this healing stone when they shouldn't be. They're getting a nice heal, which is nice, but you'll notice they will be a lot less balls now towards the end, right? Like now, of ill intent. So nice and easy one. Just dodge all the balls, guys. Once you've dodged all the balls, just like we've just seen again, the Giant and the Necrogiant have switched spots. So all of these guys are already in the perfect position, as you can see, to hit the Necrogiant. And we're already on 4 minutes on the clock, guys. So this just showcases, if you understand how each of these different abilities work, you can honestly do a massive amount of damage if you are already in the correct position, right? So we're going to be coming up to now the 4th ability. We've already seen 3. Are we going to get the 4th lucky charm and see all 4 in one? No, we don't. We get a repeat now, right? We've just got a repeat of Haunting Ill Intent. So you can see, like I said, any Necrogiant raid is different. It can be a random set of abilities every single time. So you need to understand what you need for each of these different mechanics to dodge them, right? So we're going to fast forward this and just showcase this going off. You can see we're going into another Wall of Intent with 5 minutes 35 going left on the clock. And we're finishing out here going into another damage phase. We've got 400k left. Now we're witnessing the wind mechanic. So when the winds are coming, you know the new ability is on its way. They've got a dark fire stage here, which is a little bit of an annoying one if you're trying to heal, because the wind can push you away. If you want to avoid this, if it's pushing you from up to down like it is now, just position a little bit higher when you go to claim that rock, and then obviously as you're moving down, you're not going to get disrupted in that channel. So nice and easy one. So here we've got the Darkfire squad going where the Giant is, because these guys are about to switch positions for the final time. So you can see a Necrogiant appear here. The Mage is doing a really good job on the other side, having the aggro of the Giant. And with that, 7 minutes and 30 on the clock, we're most likely going to see, boom, the kill on the Necrogiant, 7 minutes and 32, and successfully killed the elite Necrogiant and got it in the time. So anyone who was obviously in that raid was successful on unlocking the frame. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's guide on the Necrogiant. This is the ultimate raid guide. So again, if you just want to watch the beginning, so you know what each of the 4 different abilities do, that's what that section's for. If you want to just watch the gameplay section, that's what this section's for. So I hope I've covered both sections really well. And if I have, you know what to do. Smash a like, comment, and subscribe. Share this to your alliance members so they can understand and get better at this raid. And until the next raid and the next guide, stay safe, guys. Stay sneaky. Peace out.